Hi guys, welcome back to Logic Language Learning. Same as normal, can you please subscribe if you're new to the channel? Can you also remember to like the video? Can you remember to add yourself to the Facebook group, the page which is Logic Language Learning, so that I can contact you and give you any information about articles and things that I find. And can you remember to obviously tell all your friends about the channel? Now, today's video, I'm really sorry, the light's being a bit weird by the way in the room. I don't know if it's the time of year or the bulb that I've changed, but there's a little bit of feedback, reflection rather, on the light. So let me know if it's not very clear. So today's video I really wanted to do because a lot of people get really down quite early on in the French learning process when they think, oh my gosh, I always sound the same, whatever I say sounds really similar. I can understand really well, you know, your videos have helped me, Luke, I can understand really well. I can kind of form sentences to say what I want to say, but where I struggle is I just seem to always be saying the same thing. I just think my French sounds really naff. I just think, you know, there's all these people speaking and then I just say a few words and I just feel that I sound really inadequate. Okay, so basically today's video is solving French fail. Okay, so it's when you don't like yourself in French. Just a couple of, well, I say a couple, a lot of tricks that will really help you that are separate to just learning more French words, okay? So tip number one, and please let me know if this video has been useful. So tip number one, and I always say this, is to work on accent. Accent in itself is, the battery is going low, everything's going wrong today. Accent in itself is going to help you understand other people better. I've said this before, when you focus on your accent, you're not just trying to sound French, you are listening to the vowels other people are saying. So don't be as obsessed with your consonants in your mouth. Listen to the sounds and the vowels. Yeah, listen to the air that's coming out in the middle of the words, okay? Tip number one, part two, is that in doing that, it's also going to facilitate your speaking sounding better and filling out, basically. So often people feel that they sound really but when they're talking to people in French. Number one, it's great that you can hear this. If you feel that you sound bad, it's because your ear is hearing how different you sound from people who are speaking properly, and that doesn't even mean natively. So that's great, your ear is starting to hear that. So what you then need to do is fill the words with the air. We've said this before. So how do we do that, Luke, is the question. You need to make friends with the back of your throat. Pardon the expression. You need to be making the air constant. So when you're communicating, think that you've switched on a tap and that the air is going to come out. Keep going until you switch off the tap or the faucet or whatever you call it. So for example, if you ask me the question, what are you going to do this weekend? In English, I would go, well, I'm not too sure. I suppose I might sort of chat to my friend Jen, or I might, you know, go to Wales, or I might do something, you know, whatever. Okay, there's lots of stops and starts, and that depends on accents. And some accents, we've said this before, you know, there are some accents even in American English and British English that are a lot more slidey, you know, portamento, and they fill the space. What do we want from you in French? We want you to fill the sound with air. So we want you to talk like, oui, so what are you doing this weekend? Enfin, je sais pas, je vais peut-être aller au cinéma, mais faut que je réfléchisse, j'ai besoin de parler avec mon ami parce que voilà, j'étais censé aller voir mon ami Sam, mais enfin, il habite à Reading, donc je suis pas bien sûr que j'ai envie de... So think on what you're saying, keep going, keep going. Don't prepare the next word and then go when you're ready. Just think with an open mouth. Ultimately, this feels a little bit socially odd because it feels like you're going to somebody with your mouth open, but it will facilitate the French sound. And it's not that I don't want you to have words. If you can speak really cleanly and clearly and you know what you're saying and you're going there, great. But this is also going to mean that the sound keeps coming from the air. Yeah? Oui, je vais vous... It's all about the air. It's all about the open mouth shapes rather than the lips being closed. Okay, so that in itself will help, even if you're saying the most basic sentence. Okay, good. Some more tips. let's think of what conversation consists of. So conversation consists of you offering your opinion, you giving your opinion sort of qualitatively about what someone else is saying. So you're saying whether or not you agree with them, disagree with them, offering something else, all of this kind of thing, okay? So step number 2, we'll say then, is basically, let's just try and put sentences together a bit more. So give a first sentence, then give a second sentence. And so what I mean by that is, find yourself using connectors. So I've done videos on connectors before, but what's really good about them is you can, in your mind, divide them into categories. And this is great for presentations. So we're going to need a few that are going to introduce what you're saying. We're going to need a few that are going to continue what you're saying on. We're going to need a few that are going to go back in the opposite direction. So, well, there is this, but there is this. And we're going to need a few that are going to end a situation. So let's say, to begin with, we've got tout d'abord, okay, tout d'abord, and I'll write these out for you. You've had them before. So we've got, actually no, I will give you a link underneath. I will give you a nice website link to some connectives, or connectors as some people call them. So what are they? They are words which go around your clause. So not just your basically Jeannie is driving. We've got the, first of all, Jeannie is driving, but she's also going to see her son. So whatever, we've got different sentences coming together. So, to begin with, tout d'abord, yeah, or petit a, little a, or premier, or premièrement, less common, okay? Pour commencer, to begin with, okay? Then we need one that's going to move it forward. En plus, de plus, aussi, phraseology, which will move it forward. Often if you just think of going between your sentences, a sentence will come to mind. So yes, there's this, and I agree, because there's also this, je suis d'accord. You know, some little sentence that's going to link your sentences together, okay? Ones that will go on the other side. So ones that will go, yes, but will take the argument back. So mais is but, pourtant, P-O-U-R-T-A-N-T is however. That said, ceci dit, taking it back the other way. Par contre, you know, on the other hand, par contre. De l'autre côté, from the other side, which is on the other hand in French, de l'autre côté. So you could use this for yourself. So I like chocolate, but on the other hand, I eat sugar-free chocolate. J'aime bien le chocolat, mais de l'autre côté, ou par contre, je choisis le chocolat sans sucre, without sugar. Or someone else could say something. Oh, well, I think, you know, Donald Trump is a marvellous individual. And I'm saying, yeah, but on the other hand, have you heard how he's talking about, you know. So, okay, so we've got those. We've then got connectives which end or introduce the end of your argument. So, en conclusion, pour finir, oui, mais n'oublie pas, enfin, petit dernier, little last thing, whatever you want, something that's going to show us that you're at the end of your argument, okay? So that's just a general idea. So they're just really useful to have. So next idea. Show that you're still talking in French, because French, some communities and cultures overtalk other people. I talk, and if somebody's saying something that I find interesting, I don't interrupt, so to speak, but it makes me want to comment. And all of my good friends, we talk like this, and it isn't rude that someone else has jumped in. It's like, yeah, I really like what you're saying, and often it will just be a few words, and then it'll finish. Or we layer the conversation, and in other sides of my family, you just don't do that. You just wait until you hear silence, and then it's your turn to speak. So it depends on the culture. So firstly, fight for your chance to be heard. Fight for your chance to be heard. You're not going to be one of the fastest people speaking there because you're foreign if you're speaking in French. So there are two tricks that we really need to do. The first trick is to keep your voice high when you're speaking so that we know that something else is coming. Now, I hate this in English because it sounds really Valley Girl. Sorry, anybody who's from that part of California. It sounds really, really like a little bit airhead, like I know, are you gonna, you know, it sounds like this kind of thing. But if you think, when we introduce topics normally, And this is great for your exams. Show people that you're still answering a point. So your voice goes up, your voice goes down. Listen to that and get used to doing that, okay? So to begin with, there are several reasons why this argument is valid. First of all, we're going to do that. Second of all, we're going to do that. And thirdly, we're going to do that. And your voice going down lets them know that you've finished and people can stop listening, okay? And that's great for business as well because you're letting them know that there's more to come. So don't be afraid to do that. So give me 3 reasons why you like, pourquoi est-ce que tu aimes la France? Alors moi, effectivement, j'adore la France parce que j'aime bien la bouffe. Now, my voice has gone down there. J'aime bien la bouffe. I like food. But I've done a little in my voice afterwards, so you know there's something coming. So I've said there's 3 reasons. J'aime bien la bouffe. J'adore le paysage. I like the countryside, le paysage. I've gone up. Et finalement, j'adore la langue. I like the language. I've gone down. So just play with this. It will keep people listening to you. Okay. Next point. Don't be afraid of speaking slowly. Go on the quality. This ties a little bit with point number 1, which is imagine if you were at a lecture of a physics professor who people speak slowly. They bore us, but sometimes you're interested in what they're saying because every word counts, and you don't think this person can't access a great vocabulary. You don't think they're dumb. Often they're incredibly intelligent people, but they can hold you. Other people really hold you. Luke, I'm going to explain something to you that's really going to change how you teach. You know, I'm not speaking quickly, but you can really engage somebody. So the big fear when you're speaking a foreign language is, oh my gosh, my French is so slow. I sound appalling. I sound completely dumb. And you want to race, which then makes you stutter, all the air here, which then makes you sound less French, okay? So take your time. Oui, j'adore apprendre la langue française, j'aime bien le français. Je regarde les vidéos de YouTube avec quelqu'un qui s'appelle Luc. Il est excellent, je recommande. You know, tell them about me. But the fact is, speaking slowly won't stop people finding you interesting as long as you're engaged with what you're saying, okay? So those are my kind of vocal things to keep yourself in the conversation. I suppose my final one would be eye contact, would be make sure that you're looking at people, you know, keep them, I'm still talking, I'm still talking, I'm still talking. Now some linguistic assistance, okay? So, this is more about sounding a bit more French and not always sounding the same. So it's looking at synonyms and different ways of saying things, because often we have our own words that we use. We have our own phrases in English where you go, oh my gosh, that's such a Jen thing to say, that's such a Sam thing to say, that's such a Lana thing to say. Yeah, we have these words. But when it comes to language learning, we often get to the point where we can make our point and then we stop learning other words, we stop learning synonyms. So when I teach people, I always say, have 3 and have them in order. So here's a couple of tricks. So firstly, you'll often find yourself saying yes. So you'll find yourself saying yes. Someone's saying something you agree. Yeah, so instead of just saying oui, and people go, oh my God, Luke, I just keep saying oui, I sound crazy. Ouais means yes as well. O-U-A-I-S, ouais, okay. Forcément, yeah, that's right. Justement, d'accord, I agree. Bien sûr, of course. So someone says, do you want to come out tonight? Enfin, Luc, tu veux sortir ce soir? T'as envie de sortir ce soir? Do you want to go out? Ça te dit de sortir? Do you fancy going out? Ouais. Oui, forcément, juste, absolument, tout à fait, complètement. Use an adverb. You don't just have to say yes, and it will stop you thinking that you're always saying no. Okay? Yes. Equally, I was preparing the next point. Equally with no. Non, 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 non. You just feel like you're always saying oui or non. So what can we say instead of non? Pas forcément, not necessarily. Pas tout à fait, pas complètement. So you can put a pas before all of those adverbs. Bien sûr que non, of course not, as opposed to bien sûr que oui. Je pense pas, I don't think so. yeah, so find some phrases, go through the video of what I've just said and find some